Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's me, just another sim guy here, and as you'll see by the title of the video, I've had a little bit of a setback, a bit of a disaster. Now I do want to put this into some sort of realistic perspective. This is not a disaster in life per se. This is a disaster from the point of view of my sim racing hobby and how it might affect my channel. But it has allowed me to do a lot of reflection over the weekend and put things in a bit of perspective, and also have a little bit of a regroup and a new plan, and work out where we go from here. So if you are interested to learn more, this is going to be a little bit of a talky one. Hopefully it's still interesting to people, other streamers, people that face challenges that crop up and stuff like that. So I'm going to have a little bit of a talk about how I deal with these sorts of things. I'll let you know what the problems are, obviously. But yeah, I'm just going to have a little bit of a talk through. So there's going to be some nice footage in the background from the last stream we did last Thursday, which was really, really good and had some great races. But I'll let you know what's happened and where I think I'm going to go from here. And I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on how you think I've dealt with this, and whether you've got any advice, support, or different points of view on other things I might not have thought of, and where I might think differently and look to go in another direction. So do keep your comments coming in, and I do reply to each and every comment. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Now, I won't keep you very long. It's going to be, like I say, it's going to be a bit talky and not particularly long, despite the fact the footage in the background does look quite good. So it does sort of seem like a shame to waste it. However, if you want to see it all, go back to the channel, look at the streams, and it'll be the last one in there. We've had some really, really good races, made some really good iRacing progress throughout the evening. Anyway, enough of that. So, long story short, my motion rig had a bit of an issue and seems to be broken. So I haven't been able to do any racing since Thursday, and at the time of recording this, it's Monday morning. Bit of a pain. I mean, I've labelled it a bit of a disaster. The thoughts and emotions that go through your mind when this stuff happens. Now, I must stress, this is not a life emergency. My life is still wonderful. My family is still great. This is purely from a sim racing box inside of that life, where this is my hobby and this is what I enjoy and this is what I go through when something goes wrong with that. Time is very short, money isn't inexhaustible, so it's almost like when these things happen, it has an impact on both of those two things are the most important things, or the most things I'm shortest of, I would say, is the time and the money. So when this stuff happens, you go through a bit of a roller coaster of, right, where do we go from here? So yeah, the first thing was, a little bit angry, a little bit frustrated that it had broken, a little bit worried about it. What's the financial impact going to be? And then you start thinking about the other bits and pieces. So not only is this my hobby, I've got a streaming channel and a content channel that I'm working really hard to grow in my spare time. So what's the impact going to have on that? Is that going to take a bit of a hit? Is it going to stop me doing it? Is it suddenly going to drop off the face of the earth? All these things go through your mind when these sort of things happen. And then it's the logistics of it. Now I've got to search for another one. I've got to contact the people to see if it's under warranty. I might have to take it, I'm gonna, either way, if I replace it or I get it under warranty, I'm gonna have to take everything apart. Now, for anybody with sim rigs that, especially if you take a bit of pride in cable management and doing all this sort of stuff, it's got lighting attached to it, it's got cables, it's all going to have to be unpicked, it's all going to have to be taken apart, and no one enjoys that. Now again, this is really first world problem stuff. Like, I can't even pretend that I don't feel extremely blessed and lucky to even own this equipment in the first place. So the fact that it's gone wrong and now requires a little bit of my time to put it right, a lot of people would say, well, so what? At least you've got it. And I totally agree. So I'm not coming at it from that angle. But what I'm saying is, when these things happen unexpectedly, these are the sort of thoughts you have. So initially, you have those thoughts, and then with the ability to reflect over the weekend, you then start putting things in a little bit more perspective and go, well, hey, so what? Here's a problem. Now it just needs to be dealt with in a sort of logical way. If I don't have the time to sort it out, it won't get done. If I don't have the money to sort it out, it won't get done. But there are steps to be taken before flying off on a big angry rant about, oh, my life's rubbish because this is broken. You know, that's just not who I am. So anyway, back to the point of it. It just means that when this stuff happens, you go through a little bit of self-reflection and go, right, what can I control and what can't I control? And, you know, for me, it was, well, I can't control that it's happened because it's broken, but what I can control is, you know, like we do in life, you can control how you react to that situation and where you go from here. And having a little quiet sit down and working out the steps that need to be taken, firing off a couple of emails, doing a little bit of research, and then working out, you know, what is going to be most realistic. So I've looked into the costs of other motion rigs. I'm waiting to hear back from the support people about whether this one can be repaired, and if it can be, what's the time frame for that, and if it can be repaired, does it cost me, is there a warranty involved? I must admit, I'm really not looking forward to taking it apart, but you know, it's a basic problem to have, and it's an easy one to have if you want to put up with this sort of equipment. And it's no different than PC racing and sim racing in general. There's always something needs fixing, there's always something needs adjusting, there's always something to reconfigure, and nothing lasts forever, does it? So yeah, I mean, for me, it's a bit of a kick in the nuts because my channel has been growing really nicely over the last month or so. You know, we're trying to, as we all do, we balance our work and our day job. I run my own business. I've got family, so I've got work to do on a daily basis. And like I say, time and money isn't an inexhaustible supply, is it? So we fit these games, these hobbies, these sim racing things in as and when we can. You know, adding an extra dimension to it. There's the video editing, there's the sort of research, and there's the sort of recording and the streaming and all that sort of stuff, which I absolutely have been loving doing. And we've built up a great community on Discord, which I'm truly grateful for. But yeah, so that's what's happened, and then it's sort of like, you know, after working your head around what's happened, and it's where do you go from here, and what's next. Not only what's next for me, but what's next for the channel. So this allowed me to do a little bit of reflection, and what I can say is that it hasn't wavered my commitment to this community in any way, shape or form. It just means that there's a little bit of an adapting period and a little bit of an adjustment on what my plans were going to be. Now, I had a couple of videos that were already waiting to be posted, so it hasn't really slowed down getting any new videos out. I put a couple of videos out at the end of last week and over the weekend, hopefully well received. If you haven't seen them, check them out. There was one on some Assetto Corsa, and there was one on Raceroom. So hopefully you've seen those and you're still enjoying those. So it certainly won't slow that down. It will slow down future new content in terms of racing and in terms of streaming, but I'm still going to be fully active on Discord in that community. And I think some of my newer videos will probably end up being a little bit like this. Some footage behind, but there's plenty of stuff I wanted to talk about that I had written down. So now it allowed me to sort of go back, rejig my goals, rejig my sort of video plans for the next few weeks, and go, right, what can I do that doesn't involve streaming? Are there any more hints, tips, configurations, VR sort of technical videos? I wanted to do something on Wreckfest because there was the new update on their content that came out last week, and I haven't even had time to sort of download that and look at that. So you know, that's a new one. So it doesn't really change long-term future goals for me anyway, and hopefully it won't slow down the sort of traction and the momentum that the channel started to build up. And I certainly don't want to neglect anybody that's been following and that's in the Discord. So all of that will absolutely stay as it is. It just means that, you know, in life when these things happen, sometimes you just have to do a bit of a regroup. And, you know, part of being a person is being willing to change, being flexible and adapting to something that is unexpected. You know, it's all that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger sort of mentality, I guess. And like I say, you can't control these things always. You can mitigate them and you can minimize them, but something's always going to crop up, and it's how you react to that that will be the game, you know, the changing sort of element of where you go forwards. So yeah, so that's the issue. That's what I've done to deal with it. And at the moment, I'm hoping that I can still use the rig without any motion. So over the weekend, I've managed to sort of get that. I've yet to test it, but I think I've got it so I can still use it as a static rig. So I can still do some racing. I'm not that keen on doing it that way. I'm not sure if the VR without the motion might make me a little bit motion sick. And also, it's just not going to be as much fun. But I'll give it a go anyway, because you know, a bare minimum, I still want to sort of progress my iRacing stuff and, you know, have odd races with the community. So I don't want to not race completely, but it is going to slow things down from that side of things. But the most important thing is that, you know, there's a plan and a way forward. So I'm waiting to hear back from some people. I'm sure it will be just a little blip in the initial development of the channel. But I'd love to keep the momentum going. And if you also haven't already, get yourself down on the Assetto Corsa EVO giveaway video. Just get into the comments, make sure you like it, and make sure you're subbed. And that way, I'm going to do a free draw when I get to 1,000 subs and give away a copy of the game. I might even give away 2 copies if there's a really, really big response. And it feels a bit unfair having the odds so low. So yeah, do look into that. Although, if I have to buy a motion rig, then I'll probably stick to the one I've committed to and save the pennies. Anyway, so that's where I am, and that's what's going on. I hope you still enjoy the new content that comes out. Like I say, there'll be lots that I can put out that doesn't require any new race footage, but I still have lots and lots of races to do, and I do want to get back to normal as quickly as possible. So get yourself in the comments if anybody's got any advice, if anybody's got any knowledge in this sort of stuff, or anyone I could try for a repair should I need to. It's a Next Level Racing V3 motion platform, currently attached to a Track Racer GT platform, sort of sim rig, I think it is. Not that that makes a difference, because I would just take it off. And it's one of the very large, big supporting spring type thing that seems to have snapped. And yeah, I think even if I had the part, there's no way that a person would be able to replace that. You have to put it to such a tension to get it into both sides that it must be done by a machine. But I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. But I'm hoping that it's at least repairable. Otherwise, we'll be looking at newer solutions and possibly upgraded solutions. So it's still an exciting time. And the channel will still put out lots and lots of content. But yeah, just let me know what you think. And yeah, any similar experience you've got of big sort of hardware issues, anything breaking. PCs break, don't they? Graphics cards are really expensive, so this sort of stuff really does hit you by surprise, sometimes at the worst possible time. But you know, there's always ways through it in there. So yeah, let me know. Anyway, that's my update. Quick one today, and I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you like, subs, and share and all that good stuff. Check out some of the previous videos for the footage. And I'll see you on the next one, and I will keep you updated as to the rig situation, and I'll be back on the track as soon as I can. I've been just another sim guy. I'll see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.